Welcome to my Mid-Atlantic Perennial Garden, May 2nd, 2009. We shall now enter the gates of the garden. Just pan around a little bit. You can see the walkway covered with field stones. And there's some creeping Jenny. Hopefully we'll cover the path before summer's out. Been working on that for a few years now, but it seems like the edges and not the middle. And I guess some of it really did die off in the winter. I'm not sure about that. To the right here we have a big silver maple, and that is surrounded by carpet phlox. We have some verbenia in a basket. By the tree there is some allium sprouting up there. That'll put out those nice little purple balls. And to the right of that is a little heuchera. Not sure which kind, but something like a Pallas purple. And then directly in front of that, by our gate, twining around the gate right now is a trumpet vine, which I'm hoping will end up giving me some flowers. We'll have to see how that pans out. In front of this gate, I have two urns that are filled with lobelia. One right there. And those flowers are quite nice, kind of a midnight blue with a little white speck in the middle. There's another urn over here, which is flanking the gate as you go in. And those flowers are nicely cascading over the urn. And by my watering can we have some kitty cats hanging out there. Alright, let's enter the gates. To our left, we have a fountain, which has been a little bit troublesome. We have to take that back. It hasn't been performing as it should. We have a bleeding heart, which is on its way out, kind of. Tucked in the corner is a beautiful June hosta, which I just love. Those just have a Monet type of look to them, a Monet painting type of look. This is a pink jasmine, which is hopefully going to grow up this trellis, although I think now that that silver maple is leafing out, they have to move it because we may not be getting enough sunshine to get that. To the right is a little euphorbia. It's kind of cute. That will spread by runners. And in the front here, newly purchased type of achillea is King Edward, and it puts out these little tiny yellow flowers, which is kind of cute. So that makes a nice little edging. That'll get a bit taller than the carpet phlox does. And then panning over next to all that is a beautiful hosta, which puts out that lovely blue tint. Like those different colors in the garden, very nice. And next to that, tucked in the corner near the chimney, where it stays very happy, is my beautiful Daphne, which did flower tremendously in March with a wonderful scent. That is one of my prized specimens right there. We have some columbine along the path, along with different types of phlox. And then over here, tucked in here, some pretty azaleas that have been there since before we moved in. That is one of the few remaining pieces of shrubbery that were here that didn't get taken out or rearranged, although this whole area was pretty desolate and there were no gardens except for this hydrangea there. So this has all been my work through the years. We'll come down the path and you can see we have an astilbe coming up here. There's a Nico blue hydrangea I recently put in, transferred from another part of the garden. We have some lilies that are just taken off here, and a recently clematis planted here. I'm not sure though that it's going to like it here. Probably not enough sun. Haven't had too much luck with clematis, so that may have to get moved, but it's pretty right now. Okay, we're going to pan around now and come to my nice little garden here. Just step back a little bit so you can get a good view of that. And that is, sorry, my Weigela, Wine and Roses. And we have some forget-me-nots around there. And we have some newly planted lantana, which is an annual in this area, but I love the way that does. Well, let's take a close-up look of the lantana now. You can see those pretty little kind of bell-shaped flowers on those mauve-type leaves, which is very nice. That should get to be a bigger bush of about 6 feet by 6 feet, so I can't wait till that is a stunning beauty. It is right now, but it's only about a quarter, I think, of, or maybe a third of the size it should end up being. So really enjoying that this year. And we pan around over this way, and there's a red twig dogwood here, which is a nice winter interest because it does have red twigs in the winter. Now it's putting out some little flowers. We have a golden barberry next to it in the corner there. And on the ground, trying to get it to cover in this whole little area, would be the winter creeper, which is a type of euonymus I have on the ground there, which is variegated and turns a bronzy color in the fall, which I like. So I'm hoping that's going to fill in. We've got the heliobores, which are making little babies and coming in nicely there. Over across the path, the rock path, is the sweet woodruff, which is putting out a nice scent right now. It took a while for that to flower and start taking off, but it's done nicely with that now. We have several other shrubs in the garden, but I'm going to focus on some of my new plantings, which if I take you over here, that's not a new planting. That's hot lips. I think it's a kelone, and that puts out some really pretty pink flowers in the fall. And in front of that, I have a newly planted sedum. Sedum does quite well in this region. We get so hot and dry sometime. It really likes that kind of weather. So that's a new sedum by my rock here. And then in the front of the border of the garden, I put in some Lithidora. I've put that in before, and love the blue flowers, but it's a little bit iffy around here. I haven't had it last. So we'll just pan back so you can take a nice look at the garden here. There's a little bird house. Just had an incident with a baby bird yesterday. The cats had surrounded it, but I managed to rescue it and put it in a box up in a tree. And I was happy to report that this morning it was gone, so it was able to be rescued. Very happy about that. Unfortunately, one day Alex did get a baby bird. So that tree right behind the birdhouse is my Tardiva hydrangea, which puts out really pretty flowers in the fall. Love my grass right here, and then a newly purchased peony right over here. Put it under the Tardiva hydrangea. We're going to take a close-up of that because it has very interesting leaves, as you'll notice. Very interesting shape, very interested again with the bronzy tint to it. And it's going to put out yellow flowers. It's called Sunshine Sensation. So that's a very nice, newly acquired. Behind that we have some candy tuft. Love that. And there's some Mediterranean heather in pink. And we'll pan back out. Back in the back of the garden we've got my bridal wreath spirea, which of course I purchased because it reminded me of my home where we had such a bush near our garage, and I used to sit outside staring at the sky and used to admire that plant. And then in front of that we have a abelia, which I recently transplanted. I'm going to take a close-up now of those flowers. It's going to get to be a pretty good sized bush, but it puts out these lovely little flowers. Trying to get a focus on that. I'm not sure we're going to. But they do smell divine. Let me just take a whiff of them right now. So the little buds are kind of pinky, as you can see in this picture. Pinky little buds. And then the flowers come out white and quite a nice fragrance. So looking forward to that. Then if we pan into the back of the garden, you can see we have some azaleas in the back, giving some color to the back of the garden. And then tucked over in this corner near the swing set, which I hope future grandchildren will be using. Underneath this sassafras, which sprouted up when Bobby was just a baby, so we call it Bobby's tree, there's some nice fern. Love the fern. We have the Japanese painted fern in the front, and then your typical fern that kind of goes wild in the side of my house here on the side. I think that'll wrap it up for now. That's just part 1, and stay tuned for part 2, to be continued, of the Mid-Atlantic Perennial Garden, May 2nd, 2009. Happy gardening.